Welcome back. You know, we like to quote like famous Americans, historians, politicians, and I want to quote a former United States Senator. His name is John Lutarski. Here's a picture of him from years back. Well, that's he was at Delta House, not the United States House. All right, so let's get serious, for just a moment. You saw what happened in Washington this week. It's just insane, and I'm trying to figure out, what will happen to Oklahoma with all this going on in Washington? And they've made this insanity, and it's coming to pass. And what do you think?
Here's what I think. I think the American public are with the Republican Party in terms of tax cuts. They're with the Republican Party in terms of border security. They're with the Republican Party in terms of getting inflation control for everyday working Oklahomans. They're with the Republican Party in that women's sports should be for women. Where we lose them is where we can't manage to have a Speaker of the House. This is the bare minimum. My beef is not necessarily with getting rid of Speaker McCarthy, even though I think it was a mistake given the totality of the circumstances. My beef is that the citizens are looking, can the Republicans govern? Right now, we went home, by the way. They went home for the weekend, and they still don't have a Speaker. We got to get this thing done. You got Jim Jordan, who Donald Trump has endorsed. You've got Scalise. At this point, just give me a functioning government.
It's wild. You know, here's the thing. I mean, if you saw what happened in January, you thought the Republicans in the House could outdo that. They said, hold my beer, and they did that. Now, there's no Speaker. Government's paralyzed. What do you think?
Well, we've talked about on this show quite often that it's just flat embarrassing. It's the first time in U.S. history that Congress has voted out a sitting Speaker. The first time in history. So we're making history, but in the wrong kind of way. I mean, for those at home that know government, the Speaker of the House is the third in line in power behind the Vice President, next being the Speaker. So we don't even have a third in line right now. It's not a functioning democracy. It's embarrassing. Both parties need to work out differences, and we have to get past this idea that you have to put your party first always before you put your country first. Right now, the country is last, and that's not going to help any of us.
Right. And by the way, you really don't have to be a member of Congress to be the Speaker of the House. John Lutarski would have qualified. So, with all of this chaos going on right now, they're going to try to pick a new Speaker. We'll see how that works. What do you think's next?
I don't think it's going to help that former President Trump has now endorsed Jim Jordan, the congressman from Ohio, to be the next Speaker of the House. I think that takes us down the path that I just discussed, which is further partisanship. I think if you ask yourself the question when you go to Sunday school this morning or talk to folks at church, if you just talk about issues and don't talk about what political party you're in, most of you all will agree on a good number of issues. That's where we need to get as a country, where we stop talking about what political party we're from and about what issues we care about. If we can do that, we can rebuild and reestablish the democracy that we need for the future.
That's what we need to do. The question is, what will they do?
Well, I will say this. Former President Trump is a leader in the Republican Party, and his endorsement matters. If I was running for Speaker, I would want it. I think Representative Jim Jordan would be a great Speaker. I think Representative Scalise would be a Speaker. I think we have Representative Tom Cole right here in Oklahoma, hoping that it doesn't have to be him to be the one that has to do it. But by the way, he'd be the best Speaker of all of them. But what I think has to happen at this phase, I could get fully behind Speaker Jordan. I could get fully behind Speaker Scalise. What I'm calling on them to do is to do something. We have the continuing resolution, which is the worst feasible way to fund government. It's absurd that Republicans and Democrats do that. But we have real problems the American people need to address. This is like step one. Let's get it done.
Jon Echols says, get her done. All right, well, let's hope that happens. Hey, thanks for watching Your Vote Counts. See this again on our website, /Your Vote Counts. And follow me on my socials, if they're still around, at Mitchell Talks.